studying the implications that this judgment would have on India. That's the first response that has come in from India on the Supreme Court judgment of the United States on, in fact, Donald Trump's tariff. Now, viewers, the top court of the United States had basically said that Donald Trump did not have the power, did not have the authority to impose tariffs around the globe. And this is why the judgment has now come in. Of course, Donald Trump calls the judgment disgraceful. He says he has other alternative methods to impose tariffs. Meanwhile, we have a reaction from New Delhi. The first reaction, in fact, on this big judgment by the top court of the US, wherein New Delhi says they are still monitoring the situation, trying to understand the implications this judgment would have on India. Now, remember, under the US-India deal, the tariffs were brought down to 18%, but now it seems with this judgment coming in, the tariffs will be 10% on India. So New Delhi currently says it is still monitoring the situation, trying to study the implications that this top judgment would have on India. That's the first reaction. We're also telling you how, in fact, the tariffs have... All right, our viewers, American economist Jeffrey Sachs, in an exclusive interview with Republic, speaks about this reversal of a reciprocal tariffs policy of Donald Trump. Take a listen.
All right, friends, noted American economist, author, and professor of Columbia University, Jeffrey Sachs joins us, and he would help us understand the implications of the United States Supreme Court ruling, which has struck down Trump tariff policy, effectively, that was announced on Liberation Day. President Trump's keystone of his economic and foreign policy being taken off by the U.S. Supreme Court. Welcome, Mr. Sachs, on this broadcast. And let me begin by asking, there are 3-4 questions in our minds which we would want to understand and get answers from you on. And the first one is, what's the immediate economic fallout of this decision of the U.S. Supreme Court on taking down Trump tariffs?
It makes void the whole past year of tariffs. It makes void the so-called agreement with India. It makes void the tariffs that have been imposed by Trump unilaterally on the rest of the world. The tariffs return to the levels before Trump started all of this nonsense. He exceeded his authority. He did not have the constitutional authority to impose tariffs. That belongs with the Congress, as the Supreme Court stated. And so it basically makes null and void all that's happened during the past year.
Does that mean, Professor Sachs, that there would be refunds of up to $130 billion to the importers, that the U.S. Treasury would be poorer by that much money, and that's going to have some dominoes on the U.S. government finances?
Yes, it means that the U.S. will not collect the revenues. Those revenues were never enough to address our looming budget deficit, but they were portrayed by Trump as a major step towards closing our gargantuan deficits. Now they are gone. There will be rebates. They will not be collected in the future. The budget deficit will be 7% of GDP or higher in the United States. So this is one of the implications.
Would that not have some destabilizing consequences on the overall economic scene?
From a macroeconomic point of view, modestly so, because this is not for a $30 trillion economy that huge an effect in any event. Trump claimed it was, but it never was anyway. Yes, we have a failed budget policy in the United States. That's for sure. That was true with or without this decision today. The decision today is really more about international politics and policy. It exposes Trump for what he is, a bully, a thug, and a person who cannot live within the law. That's a big deal.
Perhaps you would not agree less that President Trump's stands compromised globally with this ruling.
It absolutely is, because Trump acted all during last year as the world emperor, telling India, you have to do this, you have to do that. But he did that all over the world. And it was outrageous as it was happening. I said many times that it was illegal and unconstitutional, though I was not sure by any means that the Supreme Court would have the guts to do what it did today. Because the decision today, by the way, I'm only halfway through it. It's 170 pages, so I can't claim that I've read the whole thing. But what I have read is a strong opinion. The Chief Justice wrote the lead opinion. I'm proud of that. He's my classmate from college many years ago. I'm proud of what he did. It's not mincing words. It's not saying, well, look at Clause 3B of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. It's saying this is wrong because the president doesn't have the authority to do this. And he goes back to Alexander Hamilton and to the Revolutionary War, and he says these are powers that belong with Congress. So he did a good job in this ruling.
You know, I'll come to that just in a bit. But since we delved on the foreign policy question, Professor Sachs, you were there at the World Economic Forum, Davos, and there was a strong...
No, I wasn't in Davos.
All right, I believe we heard you there at that time. We heard you at that time because there was a strong murmur of dissent against Trump's bullying. Now you think with this ruling, those voices of dissent or disagreement with President Trump in world capitals would stand strengthened?
I hope so, because we're on the verge of war. We're on the verge of war in Asia. The president is about to launch a war on Iran. And we need leaders around the world to say, stop the bullying. It's the same issue, by the way, even more dangerous, however. The president does not have the authority to launch a war on Iran. The only one with the authority in the U.S. is the Congress. And moreover, under the UN Charter, it's violently against international law. But, you know, world leaders have been cowed by the bullying. They're quiet. They don't want to get hit. They don't want to get hit with another tariff. Well, now they're not going to get hit with another tariff. So speak out and say, don't go to war. Enough destabilization in the world. Enough one-person rule. That's what I hope comes out of this.
If that be the case, then what are the options available to the U.S. president now? Donald Trump, can he hit back at the U.S. top court in some manner? Can he still find a way around? He has, in the first reaction, called this ruling disgraceful.
Well, good that he has, because that means that he doesn't have easy remedies. He wouldn't care if he was just going to invoke some other piece of legislation. I don't believe that he can do so. The way he acted was not rational. It didn't even pursue American interests, much less anybody else's interests. And what he would do is, in some moment, he would say, well, India's misbehaving. I put on an extra penalty. Or this country's misbehaving. I don't like the advertisement that was run in Ontario, so I'm putting penalties on Canada. This is thuggery and destructive. And there is no other piece of legislation, I can assure you, that will justify that kind of reckless bullying and personalization of policy. Now, given his personality, he may try something else. But we actually today saw the Constitution speak, which I'm very gratified by.
Well, he has said that he seems to have Plan B. But Professor Sachs, you know, that brings me to the last possible question on the conversation we are having. The ruling comes just 1 week ahead of the State of the Union address, and you know that's a big media event in the Washington, D.C. calendar. You think this comes just in time for President Trump to really double down on his posturing on tariffs?
I don't know if it'll be on tariffs or on troops in the streets or on something else, but he will try to make more show. This is his personality. But I also want to emphasize the American people don't support this. He's not a politician with popularities, politician with some fervent supporters, but there may be a quarter of the population, and his overall approval rating is something closer to about 35% approval and well over 50% disapproval. So he may try some other maneuver, may have nothing to do with tariffs. He's a showman. He's a bully. He may try to bully on something else. He's also got the Epstein files and many other things, but he also has an armada, and he may could decide, as horrific as it sounds, that a war in Iran is a good distraction. It'll prove his, his power. God forbid. But that's also not impossible.
Sorry to be interjecting. Are you suggesting that a war with Iran could be used as a ploy to distract from the fallout of the U.S. Supreme Court ruling today?
Look, it wouldn't be the first time that a political leader that is hemmed in domestically does something externally to show, who's who. I'm not predicting that. I think every part of the military buildup that's taking place right now in the Straits of Hormuz and so forth is absolutely illegal, unconstitutional, reckless, and dangerous for the world. But it wouldn't be past Trump to say, well, I'll show you who can do what and launch a war on that basis.
Well, the mobilization suggests that there could be some action over the next 48 hours, perhaps.
That is correct. I think we should fear that. I would like to hear world leaders stand up publicly right now and say, don't do it. Don't do it. This is dangerous.
All right. That brings me to the last question, Professor Sachs, and which is that just as this comes ahead of the State of the Union address, this also comes ahead of the midterm polls. You think this is going to have consequences for the president, for the mega constituency, and for the people of America when they go to make their choice in the midterms?
Definitely. This exposes the fallacies of the Trump policies. He's already unpopular. He's already going to lose one or both houses of Congress. And this will absolutely add to the weight of opinion against him. And
to end the conversation, can I say that most of your positions actually come as someone who opposes President Trump and most of his policies?
I oppose most of our presidents, I have to say, over the years, because I don't like the way our country has been governed. But I want to say that during the past year, as I've spoken many times in the Indian media, I have repeatedly said that this is illegal, that it is an unconstitutional grab, and that it is bullying, and that it makes no economic sense. So what I'm saying today is what I've been saying for the past year.
Thank you so much, Professor Jeffrey D. Sachs, for your fair and frank conversation with Republic Media Network. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we are shifting focus. In a historic first, the Border Roads Organization has opened the Mughal Road in the middle of winter, marking a major achievement in snow clearance operations in Jammu and Kashmir. Take a look at this report.
For the first time ever, the Mughal Road, officially designated as National Highway 701A, has been made operational during peak winter conditions. The snow clearance operation at Peer Ki Gali was successfully completed despite heavy snowfall and extreme weather. Teams from Project Sampark cleared the stretch from Buflias to Peer Ki Gali, while Project Beacon undertook snow removal from Shopian to Peer Ki Gali. The reopening of this strategic route is being seen as a major boost to winter connectivity between the Poonch and Shopian districts. This will reduce the travel hardships for local residents. Officials also revealed that route survey and planning for widening of NH 701A